Welcome back, everyone. Today, I'm going to try to quantify my enjoyment of indie games versus AAA and AA titles. And the way that I'm going to do that is very simple. I'm taking a look at the games that I've previously cataloged on this channel, the games that I beat in 2023, the games that I beat in 2024. You can find the links for those in the description, and currently the games that I've beaten in 2025. Very simple methods here. I'm just pouring over the titles. I'm splitting them off into the two categories, and then I'm seeing which games I thought were good, which games I thought were bad, counting them, and here are the numbers. This isn't meant to be a video that you take too seriously. I just thought that this would be an interesting way of looking at the games that I've beaten and seeing how many of them that I enjoyed. So, in 2023, I played 8 indie titles, and I thought 3 of them were good, 2 of them were bad. If the number doesn't add up to what I say, it's those middling numbers or those middling games. I just thought they're mediocre. But 3 good indie games out of 8 and 2 bad indie games out of 8. The non-indie games, I'll just call these industry games, maybe, quotation marks around them. I don't know. I played 18 of them in 2023, and I thought 14 of them were good, and only 2 of them were bad. So far, we have the industry games really cleaning up here. But let's move on. 2024, I played 24 indie titles. 14 of them were good, 5 of them were bad. I played 26 non-indie titles. 17 were good, 3 were bad. Still, the non-indie titles are winning, but it was a better year in some ways for the indie games. Now, to start off this year, because of the projects that I've been working on, I've played 9 indie games. 6 of them were good, and only 1 was bad. 5 non-indie games. 2 of them were good, and 1 was bad. So when you add it all up over these 2 and a little bit years that I've been cataloging my games on the channel, 41 beaten games were indie. 23 of them are good, worth recommending. That's about 55% of the games. 8 of them I thought were bad. I would not recommend them. It's about 19% of them. So a little over half of the indie games that I played were good, and about 1/5 were bad. I played 51 non-indie games. 33 of them were good, so that's about 65% of them. Up to you whether that's a good percentage or not. It's certainly more than the indie games, right? But should a AAA game and a AA game still provide satisfaction more often than that? I don't know. 6 of them, again, 6 of the 51, I thought were bad and not worth recommending. So that's about 11 or 12%. So it's good. You kind of get your money's worth, right? Again, this is very arbitrary here. There's also a caveat where I'm more selective about the AAA games that I play and buy, and I'm a little more likely to reach into something and take a chance on an indie game, right? Something cheap on Steam. I take a quick look at it, read a couple of reviews. I go, yeah, sure, I'll buy that. I'll play it at some point. Whereas I really scrutinize my picks with the AAA games, and I'm really cautious about how I'm spending, for example, $60 on a Nintendo game, because those things seemingly never go on sale. But it is interesting, though, and I guess reassuring that I do enjoy more of the non-indie games. I do enjoy more of those expensive games, and fewer of them are bad. There's just better quality overall. To give you some examples here, because why not? In 2023, those 3 good indie games that I would recommend: Flip-On, Plants vs. Zombies. At the time, it was an indie game. I think it released on Steam in 2009, and then it was acquired by EA, or PopCap Games was acquired by EA in 2011. Someone could correct me if it really matters. And the third game is Yoku's Island Express. Some bad indie games: Limbo, and the Timeless Child prologue. Not really fair throwing that in, because it is a prologue, but it didn't hook me. The 2023 good AAA and AA games, there's just way too many to list, but I'll throw a few of them at you. Animal Crossing New Horizons, Final Fantasy 15, Fire Emblem for GBA, Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, Pokemon Legends Arceus. You get the idea. A lot of Nintendo titles there, like I alluded to. And then the bad games that I played: Lost Planet Extreme Condition, and Mario's Pinball Land. So I'm not holding back just because it's an older game. I pull no punches. I'm going to judge it accordingly. In 2024, some of those indie titles that I would recommend: Baba Is You, Degrees of Separation, Frostpunk, Garden Story, Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time, Momodora, Reverie Under the Moonlight, and more. Some games to avoid: Faerun for 3DS, Golfers Zombies, Minami Lane, and a couple more there. It's okay. Some of the great industry games in 2024: Batman Arkham Origins, Box Boy, Days Gone, Fire Emblem Sacred Stones, Hyrule Warriors, Age of Calamity. You get the idea. A whole bunch of Zeldas as well. And the only game that I played then that was a bad industry game was Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. I'm sure someone's gonna say something about that one more time, because that never gets old. And then in 2025, some of the great indie games that I've played already: Garden Galaxy. Not everyone's going to agree with me on that one. Pikuniku, Songbird Symphony. The only bad title that I've played so far from the indie games was Gris, or Gris. I think it's Gris, like gray in French, but who knows. The good non-indie games: I haven't played that many. Tiny Toon Adventures, Buster's Hidden Treasure, and Xenoblade Chronicles. And then the only bad industry game that I played: Xenoblade Chronicles Future Connected. If you don't want to consider that a separate game, whatever. It's not going to bother me. Do whatever you want. So why bother making this video? What's the whole point of it? Well, we're at another point in the year, this happens all the time, where a big studio releases their expensive game. Right now it's Assassin's Creed, the one set in Japan. I don't know the title. I couldn't care less. And it's being met with mixed reception. Critics are praising it a little higher. Gamers are praising it, or not praising it. They're criticizing it and rating it a little bit lower. And once more, you've just got this online discourse and turmoil where some people are saying, the industry's dead. It's enough selling out, enough pandering. We got to go indie. We got to go smaller. And, a few indie games spring up here and there. There's some genuine fantastic titles that come up every now and then, the Stardew Valleys, for example. But for the most part, you just get this endless cycle where, after dabbling a little bit in indie games and generally being somewhat unsatisfied, they crave the next Zelda, their next Metroid Prime, or whatever it is. There was just a Nintendo Direct released, and maybe if you watched that, it'd be interesting to gauge your own interest in the upcoming titles. Are you more excited for the AAA games, or are you looking forward to some games that are coming up under the radar? Some indie titles there. Who knows? I don't have anything particularly insightful or revelatory to share with you. For those of you who don't know my taste in games, well, hopefully this kind of makes it clear. I do try to balance out indie games and industry games, not intentionally. That's just kind of what happens here, because I keep my eye on games of all kinds. I'm not happy with a lot of the big AAA practices, but I got nothing new to share on that front. You've probably heard my opinion said through different mouths before. And then when it comes to indie games, I'm certainly not going to be overhyping them and praising them too much. A lot of the indie games can only be so good. They have their pitfalls, and the developers don't necessarily have the experience. In fact, I would say a lot of what lacks in the indie games that kind of makes the experience not really grip me are just some pitfalls when it comes to writing, design choices, and presentation. And that's what companies like Nintendo with their Zelda series, you might disagree with me, that's okay. But that's what I feel like those bigger companies with their more established series really have down at this point in their developments. Zelda, really strong presentations, grips me right away, and I immediately become immersed in the adventure. Some of the Mario titles, they could be a little bit boring and a little bit overdone. In the middle ages of Nintendo, I'm not sure why I'm calling it that, but the Wii era, give or take a couple of consoles, it felt like they were really starved for ideas. The new Super Mario Bros. Games that we got were just rehashes of each other. You were waiting for something new. I haven't played Wonder yet, so I don't know if Nintendo's finally learned some lessons. All I can tell you is that I still support both sides of the industry. For the AAA, for example, because I've got my Switch, and really the reason why I have a Switch is because Nintendo's always going to have their exclusives. They're not going to come to PC, so I want to play Xenoblade Chronicles 1, 2, and 3. And from the indie side, like I said, I just keep my eye open on the Steam page and some other websites too, taking a look at what gets majorly discounted, seeing if the reviews talk the game up, and if I might be interested in it. if I went a little bit more in depth with the games that I was looking at here for this video, you would see that I rank the AAA titles at the highest of my favorites. So my favorite 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games, I think. Basically until you get to Minecraft. And I know right now Minecraft is managed by Microsoft, so technically not an indie game, but Minecraft was one of my favorite games when it was just Mojang Studios. So AAA dominates for me. They're the games that I get more immersed in, but it doesn't mean that there aren't good indie games. I would like to hear what your thoughts are on the topic. Are you somebody who deliberately and consciously only supports indie games, or are there still way too many AAA games that you have to stay invested in, the series that you grew up with? So every now and then you set aside 60, 70, however many dollars, because you're going to be buying the next big title. And if there's anything else that you want to introduce to the topic, please just leave it in the comments. I didn't have too many ideas coming in this video. Again, I just thought it would be fun to show what my tastes are by the numbers. So there you go. Thanks everybody for watching. Again, I'll be keeping an eye on the comments to hear what you have to say. Thank you. Bye-bye.